Imagine you're at work tapping away at an email when suddenly you get a message that changes everything. It's a note that tells you your company's servers have been breached and your data stolen and encrypted. The note goes on to deliver the good news that your data is, for now, secure and that nobody knows about the breach. It warns against reaching out to the authorities for help and says that any action will have irreversible negative consequences for your business, including the publication of the stolen data and details of the hack. The solution, you read, is really quite simple. You have to pay up. Pay the ransom and the problem goes away in 24 hours, guaranteed. Before April of this year, that ransom note might be signed by one of the most prolific gangs of online extortionists around the globe. A group responsible for over 600 attacks and multi-million dollars of stolen money. But then they vanished. Their web pages went dark, their thriving ransomware operation vanished overnight, and their members scattered to rival groups across the dark web. Now there are two questions on everyone's lips. What does that mean for the ransomware marketplace? And what exactly happened to the cyber criminal group codenamed RansomHub?
All right, let's dive right into this episode. So we have an exciting guest joining us this week, cyber threat intelligence analyst and Group IB's RansomHub expert, Pietro. Pietro, now you've been close to the ground on this one. I know it. You're our ransomware expert. So you're working as part of the cyber threat intelligence team investigating RansomHub's operations and delivering crucial updates and information to help fight back against this prominent ransomware as a service group. We're pleased that you've joined us to share your insights. Let's first get into some of the basics. Can you tell us a little bit about the origins of RansomHub? When did Group IB or you become aware of them?
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Gary, for having me here. Really happy to be here. The first time we heard about the RansomHub was in February of the last year, when they first published the partnership program on RAMP forum. But one of the accounts used by RansomHub admin called Collie was created in this forum, RAMP forum on May 2023. The group RansomHub may have started even before the first victim was published in their DLS. The origin of RansomHub is quite confusing. A lot of people think that RansomHub is a rebrand of Black Cat, and there are some reasons for that. The first one is because the partnership program of RansomHub was published right after Black Cat exited scam. The second reason is because one of the victims, a big company that was published in the RansomHub DLS, was previously published in the Black Cat DLS. In addition to that, we also have some common features in the ransomware, like a feature that modifies SYN links in the ransomware of RansomHub. It is also available in the Black Cat ransomware. And also some instructions that we found in the affiliate panel of RansomHub are present in the Black Cat affiliate panel. RansomHub may have been created by Notchi, which was a former Black Cat affiliate. But of course, it's still confusing, but I think that's the best theory. I do not think that RansomHub was a rebrand of Black Cat, but a group created by former Black Cat affiliate and Night ransomware developers.
And RansomHub is a ransomware as a service provider, right? If I was to, try and join this thing, what would that look like? Like, what sort of things would they give me to then enable me to go and carry out attacks?
Yeah, that's important to distinguish affiliates from ransom as a service groups. Ransom as a service groups, those who provide resources to criminals to encrypt data, to extort companies, and to negotiate with the companies. But because there are a lot of ransomware groups, ransomware as a service operations, they may eventually provide additional resources like killers, which is a kind of tool that they use to bypass detection and some security solutions. Some of them may provide DDoS, or you can even call a victim right from the affiliate panel. The resources that RansomHub provided to their affiliates was the ransomware, the DLS, the affiliate panel, where they could configure and build the ransomware, and also some killers that were able to bypass some security solutions, and also some post-exploitation tools. The ransomware developed by RansomHub is very similar to most of the ransomware we see nowadays. I mean, you see features like killing processes, stopping services. They're able to use techniques like pass the hash, pass the ticket, and stuff like that. But there was one special feature in the RansomHub ransomware, which was the feature that allowed criminals to encrypt data via SFTP protocol. So that was a feature that I've never ever seen before. There are some other groups like Killing that also provide some features in the ransomware which allow encryption, remote data encryption, but they do not use SFTP. So that was the first time I see that.
And it's reported that RansomHub is the biggest ransomware as a service operator, bigger than Lockbit. How did they pull that off in such a short time?
Yeah, in 2024, because of the amount of the companies that were disclosed in the RansomHub TLS, we can say that it was much bigger than the amount of companies published on Lockbit TLS. But I do not think that RansomHub was a special and great ransom as a service operation. The thing is that when they emerged, Lockbit was impacted by a law enforcement operation called Operation Kronos. So that's one of the reasons why they became such a big ransom as a service operation with a lot of affiliates. But there are some additional reasons I would like to mention here. One of them is because the Black Hat and Lockbit ransomware operations were impacted by law enforcement operations and exited scam. So they emerged in the right moment, in the middle of the chaos when Lockbit and Black Hat was facing this kind of problem. The second reason is, as I mentioned before, right after the RansomHub emerged, they leaked data of a big company that was previously published in the Black Hat DLS. So they gained a lot of attention. A lot of people started talking about RansomHub. So for obvious reasons, those affiliates that previously worked with the Black Hat and Lockbit thought that RansomHub could be a good group for them to move and start working with. Some additional reasons is because of the exit scams from Black Hat and also from Noscape. RansomHub allowed affiliates to use their own crypto wallets. So affiliates somehow felt like they could trust RansomHub because probably they would not steal their money since the payment, the ransom payment, was received right in the affiliates' crypto wallets. And also because the affiliates had to pay only 10% of fee for the RansomHub group, As you know, every time you join a ransom as a service operation, all the money that you get from the victims, you need to 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 give like 10%, 20% of that payment to the ransomware as a service group that provide the resources to the affiliates. And in case of RansomHub, affiliates had to pay only 10% as a fee. So it was at that time the lowest fee I've ever seen from a ransom group. And for obvious reasons, a lot of affiliates moved to RansomHub because they wanted to gain a lot of money and pay as less as they could. And I think there is something else like I've heard from a lot of RansomHub affiliates that the ransomware was good, the ransomware was fast, it had some cool features like that one I mentioned. They were able to encrypt data via SFTP and so on and so on. And the last thing I would like to say why RansomHub became such a big ransom as a service operation and could recruit a lot of criminals is because they created a narrative based on what the RansomHub admin called lockbit and black hat mistakes. So all that stuff about exit scam, the problems that Lockbit faced because of the law enforcement operation and so on and so on. So the RansomHub admin posted a lot of stuff in the RAMP forum talking about their mistakes and said like, look, you will not face this kind of problem with us. We are a great group and we will not make such a mistakes like those that Lockbit and Black Hat did. So I think that's one of the reasons why they became such a big group.
One of many reasons it seems that this franchise model is really working out for RansomHub. So, Pietro, can you tell us a little bit about who were the RansomHub targets?
RansomHub, as their affiliates, financially motivated threat actors. So they do not focus on a specific country or region or industry. But because of the law enforcement operations that happened in the last year and late in 2023 that affected Black Hat, I've noticed that a lot of ransomware affiliates started attacking critical infrastructure like the healthcare, hospitals, and this kind of organizations. So the same happened with the RansomHub. The amount of healthcare organization that they attacked was really impressive because they believed, the affiliates believed that by attacking critical infrastructure, the likelihood for the victims to pay the ransom was much higher. So that's why nowadays we see a lot of attacks against the healthcare organization and this kind of company. As most of the ransom as a service groups, they did not allow affiliates to attack countries like Russia, Ukraine, and all of those countries that were part of Soviet Union. And also they didn't allow affiliates to attack North Korea, Cuba, and some other countries. That's really hard to explain why they do not attack these countries, but maybe there are some political reasons why they do not do it. But ransomware groups admins do not have any control of what affiliates we attack. So they can have these rules, but an affiliate can eventually attack a Russian company or attack a company in Brazil if they do not allow to attack Brazil, for example. Killing, for example, has the same, very similar rule. So Killing does not allow their affiliates to attack BRICS country. but they may eventually attack a company in a BRICS country. So they do not have any control of it. And the ransomware can be run in any computer. So they do not check languages, the country of that IP address of the victim. So yeah, even though they have rules, they do not have any control of the affiliates.
Yeah, I suppose they're more guidelines at this point than rules, and really interesting to see them targeting critical infrastructure and healthcare. So, talk to us a little bit about the impact from RansomHub.
A lot of people may know some threat actors like those involved with the Scattered Spider and some other big groups joined RansomHub. In addition to the amount of companies that they published in the DLS, they attacked really big companies. So I think that the impact that RansomHub made in the companies all over the world was really big.
And where are RansomHub today?
That's a hard question to answer. There are some theories that RansomHub may have joined DragonForce. A lot of people know that DragonForce advertised something that they called ransomware cartel. Even though that's not the first time that we see this kind of stuff. Some time ago in 2021, they also tried to do the same, like to create a ransomware cartel and work together. But even though there is such a theory that RansomHub may have joined DragonForce, or even that DragonForce attacked the RansomHub, I do not think that none of them is true. The truth is that there is no evidence of what happened to RansomHub. Some criminals think that DragonForce may be a rebrand of RansomHub. And even though RansomHub admin said a lot of bad things about DragonForce on Rand forum, maybe it's just to create confusion so that people will not think that DragonForce is not a rebrand of RansomHub. There is no evidence what happened to RansomHub or where they are now.
If someone did take them down, who do you think that would have been?
As I mentioned, some people think that DragonForce attacked RansomHub because there are some evidence that DragonForce already attacked some other ransom groups. But there are some interesting information that we found in the RansomHub affiliates panel. The admin of RansomHub reported at least 3 of what they call technical issues, incidents in the infrastructure. The admin didn't mention about any attack, any pen test, exploitation of vulnerability or something like that. But that's very, very strange, very strange, even though we do not know who did that. Either it was law enforcement or maybe DragonForce or the ransom group. But in one of the technical issues that the admin mentioned in the affiliate panel, he said that those who were trying to exploit their system, their affiliate panel, gain access to some decryptors. So he said that they were working on an update of their affiliate panel, and the developer did some things wrong, and it allowed those who were trying to exploit the affiliate panel to gain access to some decryptors. The admin said that it didn't impact all the affiliates. I mean, those who gain access to the decryptors didn't get all the decryptors, but only part of it. But that was something that was reported in the affiliates panel that was very strange. And so maybe DragonForce, who knows?
So what does this mean for the businesses that were waiting on a decryptor? They paid their money, they're waiting for the decryptor. What do they do now?
Yeah, as long as I know that there is no decryptor. You know that there is a project called No More Ransom. Law enforcement and security companies upload some decryptors, but as long as I know, there is no decryptor for RansomHub. They just disappeared. Recently, Hunters International said that they're going to close the project, and they told their victims that, look, you can message us, and we will provide you with the cryptors. But it didn't happen with RansomHub. So if there is no decryptor and those companies who were attacked do not have any backup, that's really hard to recover the data. Yeah, maybe there's nothing to do unless you have backup.
The ransomware marketplace as a whole, how are these groups orchestrating hostile takeovers?
We can say even more fragmented because of a lot of stuff that happened that I mentioned here, really law enforcement operations, exit scams, and so on and so on. So now we see a very fragmented, it was already very fragmented ransomware landscape, but now it's even more fragmented ransomware landscape. So affiliates are leaving big groups like Healing and Dragon Force. Some of them do not trust what they call big groups because they believe that in the future they may exit scam like Black Hat did, like Noscape did. So they are leaving these big groups and they are creating their own ransomware operation. Some of them are like ransom as a service. Some of them are like private groups, so very close. So they allow only those that they know to join their operation. So I think that's the kind of thing we deal with right now. Very fragmented with a lot of groups, a lot of uncertainty and this kind of thing.
How do people move from one group to the other? Is it like, a jobs board, or is it, people WhatsApping each other?
It depends. I do not think that they move to the group that offer the best resources, like the best ransomware, the group that whose the ransomware has the best features. Sometimes they move to a group because the friends work with some specific groups, or because they got some good recommendations. Even though the ransomware is not good, they have some problems, but they get some recommendations of some other threat actors. In addition to that, I think it also depends on the, let's say, propaganda that ransomware groups make on open sources like Twitter or on underground forums like RAMP. For example, now if you go and access the RAMP forum, you will see some advertisements of Nova, which is somehow a new ransom group, and also some advertisement of Killing. So they try to make this propaganda. In addition to advertisement, they make some comments on some partnership programs to say, look, we have this group, we have these resources, join us. We are ready to help you. So yeah, a little bit of some recommendations from criminals, a little bit of some propaganda that they see on underground forums. Yeah, that's how they move.
Thanks, Pietro. And they really sound like businesses trying to scale themselves, employees going where their friends are working. So now that RansomHub has disappeared, should businesses still be concerned?
Yeah, sure. RansomHub is just ransomware as a service provider. So those involved with RansomHub do not conduct any intrusion. Those who conduct intrusion are the affiliates. And it doesn't matter if it's RansomHub, Killing, Nova, Lockbit. It really doesn't matter. So that's why companies should care about attributing the intrusions to the affiliates, understanding their techniques. So those who worked with the RansomHub. Some of them, and I know that they moved to killing, for example. So they're still there using the same techniques, a very similar modus operandi, the same tools. And that's why they should be aware and be concerned.
And I think that's a really key point that you brought up about, the affiliates conducting the attacks, the overlaps in the tactics, techniques, and procedures. So when you look at it from a business perspective, impacted by RansomHub or similar groups, what are the common weaknesses that you see that could be avoided?
You should patch everything which is vulnerable, of course, but especially devices that provide SSL, VPN, and web-based applications like RD Web, Citrix, and stuff like that. Because usually they gain initial access by exploiting vulnerabilities in such a devices, like especially SSL VPNs. But in addition to that, since that the first time we heard about ransom as a service and partnership programs and affiliates, they use very similar techniques. So you should avoid public-facing RDPs and remote services. So what should be available on the internet is only the VPN. So you should connect to the VPN, and once you connect to the VPN, you gain access to the resources of your company. RDP windows should not, in my humble opinion, be available on the internet. Otherwise, they will brute force, they will try to exploit vulnerabilities in this kind of service. Also, the lack of two-factor authentication. So they perform a lot of brute force based on very weak passwords. So if you do not have two-factor authentication, that's a problem. And in addition to that, we see very bad password policies. So they have some word lists that they use to conduct brute force with passwords like admin 123. So you should not allow such a password. So the weak password and bad password policy is a very serious problem. They also, I think that there's one thing that should be avoided, which is having a workstation and all of the servers in the same network. If you do not use VLAN, for example, when a criminal gain access to your network, they will see everything. That will be really easy to do some lateral movement. Use a VPN. Please do it, and do not put all the servers and workstation together. What else I think should be avoided? Unpatched, really old vulnerabilities. So I've heard a lot about some hackers that they could do some privilege escalation because they could exploit some old vulnerabilities on Windows. So that's the kind of stuff you should avoid. The lack of offline backup. You may have backup, but if it's connected to your network, the threat actors may eventually gain access to your backup and also encrypt your backup. So that's why when they're talking about a successful attack, what they mean by that is that backup should be either encrypted or deleted. You should have offline backup. Yeah, I think that's all.
So from a defender perspective, is there an overlap in the TTPs that they use from different RaaS operators?
Since the first time we see this kind of ransom as a service stuff, they keep using the same techniques. I'm not saying that nothing changed. Of course, things change, but they're doing the same, like brute forcing RDP servers, SSL VPNs. They will always try to exploit vulnerabilities, especially SSL VPNs. They will try to gain initial access to the companies as fast as they can. and as easy as they can because they want to do everything fast to get money fast. If you see a vulnerability in the SSL VPN device, for example, and they can exploit by exploiting some path traversal or any vulnerability that can lead to remote code execution, or they can upload web shell, they will do it because that's easy to hack. And as it's easy to hack, that will be better. And in addition to that, we see a lot of intrusions where affiliates gain access via valid accounts. So it doesn't matter the source. Sometimes the valid accounts is available on Telegram or underground forums because someone decided to share stealer logs. So you will see like initial access brokers getting those data and selling on underground forums. You will see that they may eventually buy some credentials, some valid accounts on marketplaces. So valid accounts is a very serious problem that they keep using this technique. Talking a lot about threat actors, not only Scattered Spider, but EncryptHub, for example, and some affiliates of Ink ransomware that have been conducting intrusions and gain initial access through social engineering, like phishing, email phishing, and even smishing. So that's a very common technique that they use. In addition to that, we see, like in the post exploitations, they dump the hashes, they dump Kerberos tickets. They will try to use techniques like pass the hash, pass the ticket. They will use vulnerable drivers to try to kill some EDR solutions and some other antiviruses. So that's the kind of technique that we see in intrusions from affiliates of ransom as a service groups.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Pietro. When I look at the ransomware landscape, we have the ransomware as a service operators providing the tools, providing the scalability, and we have the affiliates that are actually conducting these attacks against organization. What do you think should or could be done, speaking specifically about the affiliates?
I think one of the most important things is to understand the mindset of criminals and also to understand the TTPs. As you said, there are some overlaps. So we should understand what are the common techniques that they use, what kind of tools that they usually use. Like we see a lot of PSSEC, we see a lot of Mimikatz, we see a lot of Bloodhound to exploit Windows domain. So that's really important to understand the common techniques that we see in intrusions from the affiliates and create detection rules based on the behavior of the tools and the techniques that they use. From the threat intelligence perspective, I believe that's really important to conduct human intelligence. What I mean by that, we should get information from the affiliates. We should infiltrate the groups because we should know about the vulnerabilities, about the resources that they use, their capabilities before they attack a company. We should understand how they think, how they choose a victim, why they exploit a specific vulnerability and stuff like that. That's really important to be a lot of steps ahead of the criminals, and we should not be afraid of them. They should be afraid of us.
I love it. So speaking about the future, and you talked about gaining access, gaining knowledge, understanding your adversary. Given the disappearance and the shifts in the ransomware marketplace, what signs are you watching for?
Yeah, in the last blog we published in the Group IB blog, we noticed that the amount of companies that were published in the Killing DLS increased in the last 3 months. So it's happened right after the RansomHub disappeared. Maybe we have information that some affiliates that previously worked with RansomHub moved to Killing. Of course, we do not have full visibility about all the affiliates because RansomHub are not working anymore, at least not under this brand. I think that affiliates will join Killing, will join Dragon Force because they are big and known ransom as a service groups. or they may eventually create their own ransom as a service group. Like, I can give you an example. The Van Helsing ransom as a service group was a group created by two affiliates that worked with the RansomHub. So they do not trust, because a lot of things that happen, they do not trust big groups. They may eventually join big groups like Dragonforce and Kili, but they may create their own ransom as a service and private ransom groups. So that's why I'm saying that the ransomware landscape, we have a even more fragmented scenario. So that's really hard to make attribution during incident response, collecting evidence in incident response and making attribution because of all of this stuff. We even more fragmented scenario.
Nick, you work with a lot of customers that get impacted, in ransomware attacks. What sorts of things should they be doing to protect themselves?
Listening to Pietro, he had a lot of great insights. And I think it's not a matter of if, but when we will be attacked as a business from ransomware operators, from other APT groups, whoever it might be, right? And it all comes down, in my opinion, to a few different categories. One is about understanding your adversaries. So collecting information either from OSINT sources or from private companies like Group IB to really understand who are the adversaries that can attack me? What are the overlapping tactics, techniques, and procedures that they may use? And then making sure that we have the right tools in place to defend against it. Pietro spoke a lot about the overlapping vulnerabilities that ransomware groups will employ to try and target different organizations. So having an attack surface management capability that ingests those the vulnerability intelligence to passively scan the external infrastructure or actively scan the infrastructure on the external, makes sense to make sure those gaps are plugged before a ransomware group or affiliate, will try to actually attack the organization. Pietro mentioned also that, external remote services for employees is one of the primary entry points. So having different OTP enforced for MFA, for remote services, and having really strong identity access management solutions to make sure only your employees are accessing different services rather than external affiliates, for example. So I think definitely having the right tools in place. Pietro had a lot of great points about the overlapping tactics, techniques, and procedures. So knowing what those are and making sure you have the right tools in place. But more importantly, I think it's to be prepared, and not just from a technical perspective, but from a business perspective. What are we going to do as a business when and if this happens? How is our PR team going to react? How is our board of directors going to react? So really running those simulations, understanding how different, important, critical pieces of the business may react during the scenario is critically important. So yeah, definitely having those yearly preparations for this type of incident would be critical.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Well, that's just about all we have time for this week. Pietro, thanks very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you on as a guest.
Thanks to you, Gary and Nick, for having me here.
Cheers, Pietro. Thanks, man.
We'll see you again next time. Your data is valuable and it's under attack. Cyber espionage groups, financially motivated threat actors, ransomware attackers, and other criminal enterprises are on the rise. Working in secrecy to dismantle security perimeters, they spread like a virus through the web, stoking geopolitical tensions, holding businesses to ransom, and flooding criminal marketplaces with sensitive information. These groups thrive in secrecy, now more than ever. Knowing who your adversaries are is critical. So join us as we ask who's behind the world's most prolific cybercriminal groups. What are their tactics, their motivations, and their impact? Who are the world's masked actors? Masked Actors is an independent podcast from Group IB, a leading voice in the fight against cybercrime. The threat landscape evolves quickly, but all information was correct at the time of recording and based on Group IB's High-Tech Crime Trends Report 2025. Join in the conversation online using the hashtag #MaskedActors. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Thanks for listening. See you next time as we uncover more of the world's top masked actors.